I've been double-crossed by double dealing, like I'm the one who lost. What's love got to do with it? Y'all remember them songs? Oh, those were some hits. Yes. Anyway, before I even go any further, it's Friday, y'all. Friday. Yes. All praises to Jehovah God and Jesus Christ. Amen. And listen, give yourself a round of applause because you woke up this morning. Yes, you woke up this morning. So please be happy. Yes. And put a smile on your face because all the time they want to take your place. You know it. Backstabbers. Listen, for those that have to work this weekend, it's okay. Make that money, honey. Give me $1. I say give me $1. Yes, give me $1. I need $1. Matter of fact, $1.25. Things have went up. Anyway, it's going to be a great show today. Oh, I'm not going to tell you, but for all the couples out there, people in relationships, marriages, and all this other stuff that you call love. You need love. Everybody need love. Everybody want love. You got to have love. But are you doing the right things for love? If you're in a marriage, are you doing the right thing? Some of us need counseling, therapists. We need it. And that's why you must listen to this episode. It is awesome. I'm not telling you who it is, but I have a special guest. Yes, indeed. You have got to stay tuned to listen up, listen in. If you want your marriage to be right, if you want things to be dynamite, stay tuned to listen up, listen in. I'm Preezy. Let's get it.
Tanya, you ready?
Listen up, listen in. 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 Thanks for tuning in. Let's have a conversation. Talking worldwide, it don't matter your location. What you going through and the topic may have relation. Let's get some motivation. Let's swap out education. Every Friday we heal, laugh, improve, and grow. Put some nutrients in your mind, give you food for the soul. I know you pumped and preparing for your weekend and low. Might as well join the discussion and tune into the show. Listen up, listen in. Listen up, listen in. Listen up, listen in. Listen up, listen in. Listen up, listen in.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in to Listen Up, Listen In podcast. I'm your host, Preezy. Now before I start today's episode, I would love for you guys and gals to follow me on social media. Go to Instagram, Listen Up, Listen In 5687, and on Facebook, Listen Up, Listen In. You can also email me on listenuplissenin5687@gmail.com. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, by following me on social media, you'll be able to see all the platforms my podcast is on. Wherever you consume my podcast, hit the subscribe button so you can be notified when a new episode is posted. Rate, review, and share this podcast. Now let's get back to Listen Up, Listen In. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to Listen Up, Listen In podcast. I'm your host, Preezy, and I have a special guest with me today. She is the co-founder and CEO for Better Forever. She's a life coach, John Maxwell certified coach, speaker and trainer, life coaching and training, specializing in equipping individuals and organizations to communicate clearly and confidently. Let's give a round of applause for Miss Ann Visser. What's going on, Ann?
Thank you, Breezy, for that great introduction, and I'm just so pleased to be here and to speak with you again, and to be here on the Listen Up, Listen In podcast. Yeah. Congratulations on your podcast.
Thank you so much. Yay. I really appreciate that. And I am happy to have you because I am so interested in our conversation. This is going to be awesome because it's some things that we all need. We all need to learn about good communication, and we know that's the foundation. We need good communications, whether it's personal or relationships. And Miss Ann, you are the one that's going to lead the way. So tell me all about your organization. And first of all, who is Ann Visser?
Absolutely. Well, I have been training couples and women. I've been teaching students and addicts in recovery. I just love working with people. I have a membership for Christian women. Fun fact, I've been married to Malus, my high school sweetheart, for 42 years, Preezy.
Wow.
And together with his family, we own a family farm on beautiful Prince Edward Island in Canada, eastern Canada. And I am the mom of 5 adult children and 11 amazing grandchildren.
Wow.
And so if your listeners are familiar with Prince Edward Island, if they're familiar with Anne of Green Gables, that's a fictional character, was written by Lucy Maud Montgomery. She's very famous, and she made Prince Edward Island famous. She put us on the map. And people who come to visit this very touristy spot, they come to visit Anne's land, and it's just beautiful here. And so we get to farm here, and I work online. All of my work is virtual here as a coach, speaker, and trainer. And so I am delighted to be here today to share with you the work that I do. In coaching, I do pre-married work with couples, preparing them for marriage, and I work with couples who are needing some skills in order to get better, because that's where we were, Preezy. I do what I do because we were in a very bad place and we needed help.
Okay.
And when we got the help, we said we need to do something. We have to share this with other people. And that's why I do what I do. So my high school sweetheart, I met him when I was 15, Preezy.
Wow, that is awesome. Oh my goodness. Love was in the air.
Love was in the air. I literally could not outrun those long legs of his. I was fast, but I wasn't fast enough to beat him.
Wow. That's beautiful.
And then that winter, I shamelessly chased that guy because I wanted a date. I just wanted a date.
Wow.
But he had a long-term view of things, and he wanted something more than a date. So he decided that he was not going to give me a date. I was not too pleased with him on that one.
Wow. Uh-oh. Tell us more.
I was very curious about him. He was a leader in our school, and that's what made me interested in him. He wasn't out on the weekends drinking and partying. He had some purpose and meaning to his life, and I was determined to discover what is different about this guy. And so I asked him questions. I needed to know more about him. And I recently asked him, what is it that really attracted you to me? 42 years later, you think I should know that, right, Preezy?
Oh, yeah. Hello.
He said to me, you were curious, and you asked questions that other girls didn't ask, and you were interested. And that kind of caught my eye. And so he needed to be pursued a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Challenge. Everybody like a challenge. Wow.
Yeah, apparently he did like a challenge as well. And so I did get my date, and then 3 years later we married.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is so nice.
I still remember the Yeah, Preeti, the photographer said to us on our wedding day, I've never seen a couple look at each other the way the two of you look at each other.
Wow. Man, that's awesome. Y'all was glazing each other's eyes, huh?
Yes, yep, there was a lot of glazing. That's right. There was a lot of gazing. We could not keep our eyes off each other. We were crazy, crazy in love. And then 1 month after we were married, I was pregnant and I was very, very sick. And then we had 5 kids in 6 years.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, my parents had 5 children, so I'm the baby. So that's nice.
Oh, you're the baby.
I'm the baby. Yes. Wow, that's beautiful. Sounds like a beautiful love story.
It was. And then we something happened. We started to grow apart. We started to get this emotional distance in our marriage because he was working long hours as a farmer and I felt like a single mom. And so we had a busy farm, we had a busy life with kids, and we were not, the real problem though is that we were not communicating the way we needed to communicate. And so this creeping separateness, this emotional distance, it grew in our marriage until one night that changed everything. When we were on a date, we were sitting in our farm truck outside our favorite restaurant. I don't know why these things happen on dates, but it did. And I had reached the end of my rope and I said to him, I can't do this anymore.
Oh, wow.
And he looked at me, and he looked at me and he said, what do you mean you can't do this anymore? And I could see the panic in his eyes. And I said, we never resolve anything and I'm so tired and I'm so hurt. I tried to have this conversation before, but something landed better in his heart that night. And he started to open up and share his heart with me, and I hadn't heard it in a very long time. I missed his pain, and that night I heard his pain.
Right.
And we agreed that we recommitted to each other, and we said we're going to get the help that we need, because that's what we said in the beginning. When we got married, we said if we run into trouble, we should have said when we run into trouble. We didn't know when we were young. And we said, if we run into trouble, we're going to get the help that we need. Now I tell my couples, when you run into trouble, you get help sooner than later.
Right.
Don't let all that pain build up for years and years and years before you go for help. Go for help sooner. And then it's just a little fix. It's just a little repair. It's like changing the oil in your car. You just do that regularly. And then it doesn't have to be a great big deal. Do that maintenance that a marriage needs. And so we learned from this. I went the next day to my mother-in-law's house because she had a library full of self-help books. And I pulled from her book, Making Love Last Forever by Dr. Gary Smalley. That one looked good. I knew nothing, but that one looked good. I pulled it from the shelf and we devoured that book. We not only read it, but we applied the lessons that he was teaching us, the mindset shifts that we needed to have, the new skills that we needed to have. We started to implement those in our life. And it wasn't a quick fix. It was a journey back to love again, to learn how to communicate more effectively, so that we could close that emotional space that had grown in our marriage, to repair the hurt that we had caused in each other because we had both hurt each other. And we found our way back to love again through that one pivotal conversation. It was a decision and a choice that night. And then it was a new journey back to learn healthy communication skills, to be able to understand each other better, to be able to hear each other's hurt and pain, to be able to be a catalyst for healing in each other's lives. And that's why I do what I do. Preeti, I am so passionate about helping couples who are not in toxic relationships. Ours was not a toxic relationship, but I do believe that if we had stayed there much longer, it would have become toxic. I do believe that really difficult marriages where you have these external things pressing in on your marriage, like we had a lot of children really quickly, and that puts pressure on a marriage because you don't have space and time to talk about things. Mommy, mommy, mommy. Mommy, mommy, mommy.
Right, exactly. Have that quality time for
and then we had this Right, exactly. And we didn't even know that we needed it, so we didn't even make an effort to implement it in our marriage. And then we had this external pressure of some pain from the past that needed to be dealt with so that we could be better together. And that was coming up in his workplace. And so he would often come home frustrated from work. And I thought it was me, and it really had nothing to do with me, but I certainly didn't help the situation.
Right.
Because I didn't know how to ask him questions. I didn't know how to listen to him. I didn't, and to be honest with you, I'm a conflict avoider, and so is he. That doesn't work.
No, that doesn't work, because everybody's just walking away like, okay, never mind, just letting things go.
Exactly. Letting things go, and then what happens is they just build and build and build until somebody explodes again.
Right.
And then we go back to kind of something like ground zero. I don't know what that is exactly, but it's not back to even land. Everybody begins to get more and more resentful is what was happening. And so avoiding conflict is detrimental to marriage and to relationships, all relationships. And that's why I talk about the 3 C's of pivotal conversations, because that ability to be able to communicate, to be able to say what's really on your heart, what's really going on, in a kind enough way that it lands in a good place with the other person, is so vital for healthy relationships. Whether it's at work, pivotal conversations are not just for marriages. They're for every relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's with our kids, whether it's with our loved ones, whether it's with our brother, sister, or parents. We need to have pivotal conversations in every arena of our lives in order to have healthy relationships. And so we talk about the 3 C's of pivotal conversations. And that first C, yeah.
Ready.
So pivotal.
Listen, I got my pen and paper. I got my pen and paper. I'm ready.
Pivotal conversations are conversations that really matter because the goal of them is to create a shift or a change in some way because something isn't working. Just like in our marriage wasn't working the way it was. We needed a shift or a change. So that's what pivotal conversations are. So they're going to require some honesty or some vulnerability. Depends on the relationship as to how vulnerable you get. The closer you are in relationship, the more vulnerable you need to be in order to experience that emotional closeness that you're looking for. If you're talking about a workplace, it's not going to be quite as vulnerable. Some honesty there. Like maybe it's going to sound like, look, you show up late for work, every week, and that means your work ends up on my desk. And I am not going to stay late to do your work. That's some honesty, but not necessarily a whole lot of vulnerability, right?
Right.
But the second thing about these pivotal conversations is they're likely going to be a sensitive topic. Like when you talk to somebody about them coming in late to work, it's going to be sensitive, right? They're going to be a little bit defensive.
Right. All the time.
So it's going to be it's going to be sensitive either to one or to both of the people. But thirdly, pivotal conversations, and this is what I love about them, they bring clarity. They bring clarity either to you, to the other person, or to the relationship or the situation. Like, for instance, maybe this person who's coming in late to work says, you know what, my daughter is sick with cancer, and I end up coming in late to work because this is what she needs in the morning, and I'm sorry.
Right.
That's a whole lot of clarity, right?
Right.
There's going to be a whole lot more grace for her than for the person that just is not getting out of bed on time and not getting to work on time. That's a different story.
Right.
Right. And so it brings clarity to either you as a person or to the relationship or the situation. And we need that clarity because that clarity helps us to know how to move forward from that pivotal conversation. So pivotal conversations are so important and so vital for whatever relationship we're in. By the way, they don't work so well with toxic people.
Right.
That's a different topic, okay? That's a different topic altogether because a toxic person, they suck the life out of you.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, they use your vulnerability against you because it's going to be all about you, your fault. This is all your fault. A toxic person puts the blame back on you.
Sound like a narcissist. Sound like a narcissist.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It could be under the... Yeah. So these are for relatively healthy people that maybe don't have skills that they need to learn, which is where we were. We needed to learn some skills to communicate more effectively and to stop avoiding pivotal conversations. I think there are 4 reasons why I've noticed in the 20 years that I've been working with people at For Better Forever. I noticed there are 4 reasons why my people don't have these pivotal conversations. And number 1 is a big one, and it's that they want to keep the peace. My women, my couples are really kind-hearted, agreeable people. They don't like conflict. And a lot of them are church people, and they've been taught to be nice, and I'm putting that in air quotes, nice people, and that niceness keeps them from doing conflict, and conflict, when we do it well, is so incredibly helpful for relationship.
Trying to be humble.
Trying to be humble, trying to be agreeable, trying to be nice. It doesn't work. We need to have pivotal conversations because they help us to see not only into the other person, but they also help us to see into ourselves.
Right.
Because it's not unusual in the midst of a pivotal conversation to have some new insight into who I am or some new awareness about this situation. And so I say that pivotal conversations help us to grow our intimacy, as into me you see.
Right. Nice.
Right?
But what if...
So when I
Go ahead.
When I do it really well, I get to see into you, and you get to see into me.
Yeah, but sometimes, and people be losing their sight. They need glasses. Their vision, I don't know, and they be cockeyed. And listen, what about if you don't have a person that communicates? I think the communication is the problem in a relationship. You can have that one person that wants to talk, and men, they don't like to talk. And you're that person that likes to talk all the time, and they may be like, oh my God, here she go again. She don't shut up. Like, come on. You know what I mean? Like, I love what you said about the intimacy part. You sing it to me, I sing it to you, but you got relationships, people looking, they trying to look, and then there's that wandering eye, and I don't mean like looking at other people. I mean like focusing on what I'm saying and respecting what I'm saying. What happens when it's that bad?
I love what you're saying there, and that couple needs some skills. Number 1, the person who's doing a lot of talking, they need to learn to shut up. They need to learn to push the pause. Push the pause button. Push the pause button. Like when, I had a mentor, Chris Robinson, love him. He said, he taught us when you're in sales, you need to learn to push the mute button. You ask a question, you push the mute button. You don't talk. Right. You don't ask another question. You push the mute button. And so that's a big part of communication. It's a skill, and it's called listening.
Yes.
And it's so rare in today's world, Preezy, and I think that's why coaching is so powerful. I had a client recently say to me, I just needed to talk this out because she doesn't have any other relationship where actually talk and somebody listens.
Right.
It's a skill, and it's a powerful skill that we can all learn. A skill means that it's something that we can learn. It's not something that's, mysterious and difficult. It's a skill. It means we can learn to be better listeners. The other part is when we listen, we give space. We're giving space for somebody to speak up and to say what they have. And I catch myself, Preezy, I like to talk. Right. And I catch myself reminding myself, push this mute button right here.
Right, because you can overdo it. Like maybe you're talking, it's just too much. It's like, fall back a little bit, that could be aggravating too. Somebody's always in there. I mean,
I love that, Preezy, that, yeah.
You like that?
Fall back a little bit.
Fall back. You have to. I mean, and I think that's a big issue when it comes to relationships. I mean, we can talk. Let's talk about different things. But I went on another. I was on another show, and they were saying that men and women you definitely need to have friends. You need to have outside friends, because your mate shouldn't hear everything. You need to have outside friends where you talk to your girlfriends, he talks to his male friends, and then whatever is going on in your relationship, different things you talk about, you laugh and joke, you bring it. But everything should not be brought into the relationship. What do you think about that? Like every single conversation.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think if you have a lot of words, you need some other people to share those words with.
Right.
I do think that the really important conversations need to be had with that most important person. If I am sharing really important things about my heart, about me with someone else, I am growing an emotional connection with that person. And so I think it needs to be weighed. If it's on a scale, then the person that I most want to build an emotional connection with, that's the person I share with. If I am finding myself hiding certain things from my most important person, I would ask myself, why am I hiding this important information from my most important person? Because I've seen that happen before, where someone is creating an emotional connection with someone at work and they're not telling their significant other person at home that thing, and they're moving closer toward the person at work and further away from their very significant loved ones. So it's kind of a half a dozen of one and the other, Preezy. I would say yes, I need my girlfriends, and my husband needs me to have my girlfriend.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to clarify that if I am hiding something from him, unless it's a surprise birthday party,
Right.
But if I'm hiding something from him intentionally, I need to ask myself, why am I hiding this from him? And that brings us to the second reason why we hesitate to go into pivotal conversations, and that's because we don't want to be vulnerable.
Right.
We don't want to share that little bit of my heart, because if I share this with you, are you going to turn away from me? Are you going to ignore this very important information I've just given you right here? I've just told you how I feel, and I'm feeling disrespectful, and you've just turned away from me. That hurts. That hurts. And I need to know you care about me. And so if that has happened, then we hesitate to be vulnerable again, but we can't have emotional closeness without vulnerability. We must be vulnerable in order to feel closely connected to each other.
Now, you stated that in your marriage, when you were talking, and you guys was on a date, and you said you can't do it anymore. How long were you married?
We were married about somewhere around 15 years.
Oh, okay. Because I'm thinking...
Long time.
Yeah, that's a long time. And that's beautiful, because some marriages today, they don't even last 5-6 years. And so I'm wondering, why? What is going on? Is it just the cheating? Is it because the person moved too fast with this person? Is it lack of communication? Because people are just, I don't know, it's not like the bond that my parents had. Their marriage was like really strong, and they had their ups and downs, but I just don't think people take marriage serious today. It's like a piece of paper. Security. And I'm just wondering, where's the passion? Where's the love that you have for that person when you met them? And I know, don't get me wrong, nothing stays the same. Some people say, it can get boring, but what can people do to spice their marriage up? It's tough. It's scary.
I love this question that you're at.
So scary.
It is scary, isn't it? I think it's all of the above. Everything that you mentioned above are all the reasons why we give. I think number one, we give up too soon. So that's about commitment.
Right.
Commitment says I belong to you and you belong to me. And that brings security to the relationship. So whether we're together or not, we're still together. So my husband today is working on the farm. I know where he is. I have a great deal of security, but so does he. It's a mutual commitment. He knows I'm at home here working. He knows I'm going to go see my dad later. And so there's a great deal of security. So whether we're together or not, we're still together. So I still think, act, and talk as if he was here in the room. So the stories that I tell you about him, he knows the stories I'm telling you about him because this is something that we've agreed to. So I talk as if he was here in the room. There's no big surprises here.
Right.
So that builds a great deal of trust in the relationship. And I think that's essential but I think we give up too soon, Preezy, because when it gets hard, we think, oh, this is the way it is. It doesn't get any better than that. And I'm here to say we were at the bottom of the barrel and it can get better. And if you need skills in a relationship, then if you go and you learn how to communicate better. We didn't know how to communicate. We were so lost with one another. We were not communicating at a very deep level at all. You know, communication, there's levels of communication. Like we share right here, we're sharing information, Preezy, right? That's not very when we're sharing information, it doesn't have to be very vulnerable. Right? I'm being a little bit vulnerable with you here because I think it's important that your people have a real sense of what marriage is about, and I want to give people hope for marriages. And so I'm being a little bit vulnerable here with you and with your audience, but we were not communicating at a very deep level because we were not going to that vulnerable place. Vulnerability says, this is how I feel. It's about feelings and needs. So this is how I feel. You know, I feel disrespected because when I come home every night, the kitchen is a mess and you've been home all day and this is a mess. Like, what's happening for you? And then that curiosity, what's going on with you today? Or what's going on with you that this is happening? Let's do something about this. There's a vulnerability there. Or there's also, we share needs with each other. Like, what I need right now. I remember the first time that I said to him, we were standing in the kitchen. I had a really bad day with the kids that day. And I looked at him and I said, I just need a hug right now.
Right.
And he walked over to me and he gave me a hug. And I was like, what? It's that easy?
Wow. That was nice. That was special.
Like, that was like a big aha moment for you. You mean I just have to ask for what I need and you'll consider it?
Wow.
I didn't know. We didn't have the skills we needed, and I think people lack the skills. I think one thing is that we're on our phones a lot and we don't know how to communicate. We're losing the skills. I've heard people say to me, I'm anxious to go out after COVID because I've lost my ability to be able to connect with people. I don't know how to communicate with people anymore. And so it's a skill, right? And we need to practice it in order to get better at it. And so I think the reason why marriages fail today is, number one, we give up too easy. Number two, we don't know what commitment really means anymore. And so we walk away in the middle of a really difficult moment when it could be a desert moment like we walk through. Then you get out on the other side. And I said to him recently, I am so glad that you stuck with me through that desert period because now it's so sweet, Preezy, and it can be sweet again, but even better than it was in the beginning, right? Because there's a whole lot more skill and a whole lot more passion. By the way, that passion that you asked about needs to be nurtured. It doesn't happen on its own, and it starts in the mind, and it comes out of there, and it needs to be nurtured in order to have passion in your relationship. And no, it doesn't stay at a 10 out of a 10 all the time.
Right.
It kind of fluctuates, but it needs to be fed and it needs to be nurtured in order to experience that passion. Now, one of the reasons you also mentioned was they move too fast. And I think that Hollywood has given a picture of what love looks like, and yeah, you feel good about it, and so you jump in with all fours with somebody, and then you find out later that you're not very compatible, or you don't really like what you have. And yeah, I do think exactly what you said. We move too fast, too quickly, and love takes a little bit of time to get to know the person, to get to understand who are they, like why is this person interesting to you, and what is it that you're really looking for? Because when you're in the midst of it, what you think you really need, maybe not what you really need. Like maybe you're looking for a certain type of person. I remember a young girl, she wanted somebody who was athletic. And then she came back to me later and she said, you know what? That's not really what I want.
Right.
What I really want is somebody who's kind.
Right.
That's very different, right? And so maybe what we're attracted to isn't what's really best for us. And when we move too fast, we don't get a chance to figure out what that is.
You're right. I think society plays a big role on this too. You got to look a certain way. They said the body, women are doing this and doing that. They're just going crazy. But, what are you really looking for in a relationship? I thought you're supposed to look for somebody, their personality and different things like that. Someone to make you laugh and have a good time with. Society really just has people thinking otherwise. It's, I always say trust is a big thing in a relationship. And let me ask you, with your clients, have you had any that could not trust each other anymore and everything just fell apart?
I have had clients who have struggled with trust, and I've had some who have really betrayed their partner in a big way, either financially, spending a lot of money, or with someone else as well, had an affair. And I've watched some couples dissolve because the heart and the pain. I say to them, oh my goodness, oh Preezy, if you sat with a couple who has betrayed each other and you hear their pain, that would be the best remedy for not betraying your partner.
Wow.
It is so stinking painful.
Mm-hmm.
And it is that broken trust. It's a road back. It's very possible to restore trust again. It requires, number one, the person who has broken trust to be completely transparent and honest about whatever it is wherever they've broken trust. I had a pastor once, and he's given me permission to share his story. He got it way in over his head financially. She didn't know what he was doing with the finances. She trusted him completely with the finances. And eventually he was borrowing these payday money with big interest. And he took out, he was losing everything, and then he took out their savings to the point where then he finally had to tell her what he had done. He was completely transparent and honest. He put himself under made himself accountable to men within his church. He made himself fully accountable to his wife. She took over the finances in their relationship, and still, I believe, she is still responsible for the finances within their relationship. And he did everything right in order to restore her trust in him. I had another couple, betrayal, affair, and he did everything to be completely honest and transparent about where he was going, about what he was doing, so that he could rebuild that trust. Because in the beginning of that, she is going to ask him all kinds of questions, and we give them a certain amount of time to ask any question. Any question is on the table. You ask it all now, because we're going to close that up in a couple weeks' time, and then you don't ask the questions anymore. Right. Because then we're going to start to bring you closer together. We're going to start to build that trust. So make sure that everything is out on the table, so there are no more questions, and so that when we rebuild that trust and that connection again, that 3 months down the road, she doesn't learn something new that completely destroys her trust. And it's an old thing, but it's a new awareness for her, and it breaks her trust again. So we give them some time to be honest and open about what happened, so that they can get it all out on the table, messy as it is,
right,
and hurtful as it is, and then move forward from there to rebuild connection and trust. And I've seen people do that in a powerful way. Beautiful couples, Preezy, beautiful couples.
Wow.
So it's not impossible, but stinking hard. And if you have the option, do not betray your partner.
Right. Absolutely. And do you think couples take advantage of each other? Like, he's here, she's there. You become so complacent and you just to keep doing the same routine every day. That might be a reason why the relationships don't last.
I absolutely think so. I think that couples, when I ask couples when they come to me, I say, what is the goal of your marriage? And they don't know. That matters. That matters. We become complacent when we don't know what the goal of the marriage is. What is the goal? The goal of my marriage is connection. So if I say this, my husband will say, I ask myself, is this helpful?
Right.
It's a good question.
Yes.
Sometimes he asks me, was that helpful?
Right.
And when we don't know the goal, then we become complacent.
Right.
And yes, we take them for granted, and they're going to always be there. And so we don't nurture. Love needs to be nurtured. If we don't nurture love, love dies. Love is like this plant that's growing. So we have a garden, and we have a greenhouse, Preezy, and if we don't water it right now, it hasn't been watered for 2 weeks, and things look pretty dire in there right now because it needs water. It needs to be nurtured and cared for. And if it's not nurtured, it goes all crazy. The tomatoes are everywhere. The plants are everywhere. It goes absolutely nuts. So it needs to be watered and cared for and tended to, like a garden needs to be tended to. So we know when there's little attitudes in there that aren't helpful. I remember one time I was in a really bad place. This was when we weren't doing so well. And I was just fighting for my rights. I was right and he was wrong. And I just wanted what I wanted, and I couldn't see how he would do anything right. So he was in a really bad place. I was in a really bad place, thinking negatively about him. My focus was on everything that was wrong about him, and instead of anything that was right about him. And I recognized I had a problem when he brought me flowers home one day. And my first thought was, what do you want from me now?
Wow.
And it was one of those thoughts where I was like looking over my shoulder, like, where did that come from? Because he's doing something really nice here, and I recognized he could do the sweetest, kindest thing for me, and I would suspect his motives. I was in a bad place.
Right.
Not him.
Like, what did you do? Why are you giving me these flowers? What you did? You know what I mean? And I recognized he hadn't done anything, and this was about me taking personal responsibility. I'm a woman of prayer. I started to pray, and I felt God was saying, write everything good about him. So I did. But you know what? I was resistant. Never had a good idea, and you kind of, I'll do it right. I took a little Post-it note, Preezy. Really?
Because I thought I'm not going to have much to write because I was in a bad place.
Right.
But I filled it up with good things. I flipped it over and filled it up with more good things. I took that Post-it note and I put it in a place where I would read it every single day. And I did. I read it every single day. And eventually, I didn't see a shift at first in my attitude. But about a month down the road, he called me and he was kind of cranky and he was calling from work and he said, I'm going to be late. And then he hung up. And he never does that ever. And I thought, you're having a really bad day today.
Right.
And I did a little happy dance right there because my attitude toward him had changed. More compassion, more kindness toward him, and recognizing he's a person. He's having a bad day. It's not about me, right? And so we can have those little weeds in the garden of our marriage or in the garden of our love that need to be pulled out. That's a really bad attitude, really stinking attitude. I had to work hard to shift my mindset and focus on what was good about him in order to shift away and see more of what was good about him instead of seeing some of the things that I didn't like. And which, by the way, are very small compared to all the good things about him.
Right.
He's a good man.
Yes. And so, as women, we are emotional creatures, and we'll express ourselves. Like, we'll wake up 2 o'clock in the morning, like, honey, I gotta talk to you about something. But see, men are more laid back, and they like to keep things in to themselves, And sometimes that's kind of hard, because you want to know what they're thinking and what they're feeling. But they're tough, like it's a man thing. They don't want to speak on things. And sometimes that can be hard, because you want to know what your partner is going through. Is there something that, you want to talk about? And that's why I really tell a lot of my friends too, like, even if, I don't care how many years you've been married, I think everybody should go to a therapist, like, and have sessions sometime in your marriage. I just think it's so important. It's so important. Because we don't know everything.
It's like the
don't know everything. You think
That's right, we don't.
And we're all imperfect. And so if there's something, that trust is so important. And when you lose that, oh my gosh, it's like climbing up a tree, and then you almost at the top, and then you fall down. Now I gotta climb back up this tree again? I don't know. I might go halfway, but I don't know if I'm going back where I was. So you get that feeling like, can I trust you? I don't know. And it's hard. Relationships are very hard. And I think that, like you said, don't ever let it get to a point where it's just like, all right, you go your way, I'll go my way. Especially when you love each other. I think everything is worth fighting for. Everything. So you definitely need the therapy.
Yeah.
You need the therapy. Go ahead. I don't want to cut you off. Go ahead.
There's different ways to nurture relationship and love. Every year when we go on holiday, we take a marriage book and we read it. Now that sounds kind of nerdy, right? But it nurtures us and it nurtures our relationship. Every year we were hosting marriage programs, and the same people would come back every year, and it's just like a tune-up. It's like a checkup. Where are we now? And it's learning new skills, because adults learn in layers, and so I can take the same course and take it again and again and again, and I learn new things every single time, because I've grown in the meantime. And so there are new things to learn, because I've taken new action and I have new awarenesses again about myself and about the other person. And so there are different ways to nurture relationship, and I encourage your people to choose some different ways and find what works for them. And a therapist is definitely a great idea. A coach is a great idea.
Yes.
Reading a book is a great idea. Taking a course is a great idea. Going away on a weekend retreat is a great idea. Holidays are a great idea. There's just many ways to nurture, and it's really important to do the daily thing, to do a weekly thing, to do a monthly, and to do something every year that's a little bit special. I think it's really important. One of the exercises that we do, Freezy, we've been doing it for about 20 years now, and we rarely miss a night. And so right now he's farming and he's really busy. He's bringing in the harvest. He's gone at 6 in the morning and he's home at about 10 o'clock at night. And we do not miss this exercise. This exercise is the high-low appreciation exercise. I get to hear a little bit, what was the high point of your day? We ask each other then, what was the low point of your day? And then, what do you appreciate about me today? And it is so good just to hear a little bit about his day, and he hears about mine as well. And I find that we share things that we otherwise might not have told each other, just because that question stimulates ideas about, what was the high point of my day?
I think having God in your life is very important in a marriage. I see that you and your husband are Christians, and I think that is so important, to have God in your life.
He's kind of that outside voice that when I'm not at my best, he's kind of like that plumb line that I hear, like when I read his word. The Bible talks about, be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry. Like, he's that plumb line for me, that outside voice. And it's not my husband telling me, you talk too much, you don't listen enough. There's a bigger voice, and it's really helpful to have that bigger voice in our lives. And there's an opportunity for spiritual connection, and I think that's really important too. not just like a physical bond, not just an emotional bond, but then that spiritual bond too is so important for us. We pray together most mornings before he goes off to work. We fought about that for a long time, Preezy, because we couldn't find the time. I wanted to pray at night. He wanted to pray in the morning. Isn't that ironic? You're fighting about praying.
Wow, that's beautiful. In a way, it's beautiful. Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, yeah, and that was a pivotal conversation that was important to have. And he said, like, he falls asleep at night, and that's not very helpful. And so I said, okay, I'll try it in the morning. And for years now, we've been praying in the morning, and sometimes it's the highlight of my day, just to sit and to hear what's on his mind as he's praying. And what a beautiful thing to hear him pray for our kids and to hear him pray for our grandchildren.
That's beautiful.
It makes me just cry thinking about that.
That is awesome.
So that spiritual connection is really, really important to us.
Another thing I believe couples have to work on, let the past be the past. Stop bringing your old luggage into something new. And I think we've all done it. We bring our past and, oh, you're just like this person. That we got to stop doing that, and we got to let go, because you have so much inside and you're giving it to this person that don't deserve it because you're scorned. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. We have to deal with that past, and if it's a past with someone else, that's a therapist. That's not a marital problem. That's a personal problem that we need to deal with. And right, if it's a past with the person we're with, then that's a forgiveness problem, maybe. If there's resentment there, resentment and love don't work together. They're just polar opposite. And so then we need to work through some forgiveness. I have some great forgiveness exercises that really validate the pain that the person is feeling to help them let go of, because the pain is real. We don't want to ignore the pain, and so sometimes we need to walk through that forgiveness in order to release it and let it go. And that's incredibly helpful, because you're right, we do not want to be bringing that up over and over and over again. We do need to find a way to let go and not carry that with us into the future.
And another thing I believe too is stop coming into a relationship for the person to fix you. You know, and that's where the life coach and the therapist come in. I think that, you know, we all have our problems. Everybody has their problem. But I think a lot of people come in relationships because they want that person to fix them. And I don't think that's fair. You know, you have to work on you. You have to work on you. Work on yourself. And because I'm not here to make you happy, I'm here to make you happier. So I always say in my podcast, you have to love yourself before you can love anything, because you have to put yourself first. And then when you love yourself, you're going to be able to love everything and anyone that's around you even better. What do you think about that?
I think that's really important, to love yourself and to work on yourself. And that conversation that I shared with you at the beginning, Preezy, put me on a personal growth journey to become better.
Nice.
And it put him on a personal growth journey to become better. And I never want to get off that train. I need to be on this growth journey to continue to take responsibility, personal responsibility, like you talked about, to own my stuff and to be honest and real. That's what a pivotal conversation is. To bring that clarity to, we say check emotions, and then we say the second C is to communicate and clarify, and then we can create we solutions together. We want to come up with those we solutions together, but we need to take that personal responsibility. So, and we do that in check emotions in that first C. That's about taking personal responsibility for where I am and for what I'm thinking and for the attitudes and the actions that I've taken that just aren't working in this relationship, so that we can then move forward.
That's awesome. As I always say, learn to communicate and connect with one another and be an A-team instead of just you and me, and definitely don't hold grudges, and do activities together and little date nights, and have some type of like emotional support, respect each other, have boundaries, trust, and just support each other, because that's your partner, that's your friend, and it's whatever it takes to keep that relationship going, do it. Because when you love somebody, you're gonna fight. It's like you and your husband. Y'all could have walked away and like, well, listen, we have 15 years, we did good. Most people, we got kids, grandkids, we out. But y'all didn't do that because y'all knew that it was more. Y'all loved each other, and it was worth fighting for. And I think more people should just do that.
When it gets hard, that's when commitment kicks in. When it doesn't feel like there's anything else there except history, that's when commitment especially kicks in, and it keeps us there for a little longer while we work on stuff together so that we can get better together. Yeah.
So you took that step back and you like, did you do your pros and cons? And of course the pros won. Yeah. No? No pros and cons?
No, we didn't do, no, only commitment. Only
commitment.
So
okay.
That decision that night that, okay, whatever it takes, we're going to get better together. Whatever we need to do, we're going to do what we need to do, and to deal with ourselves in order to be better together. Just commitment. And then a whole lot of growth after that. A growth and a process to get better together.
So, how long have you been married now?
42 years.
42. Look at that. Wow. 42 years. So.
And I just said to him recently, Preezy, I said, you're the best. And he said, no, honey. He said, no, honey, you're the best.
That's awesome. Wow. This is awesome,
yeah.
Man. Listen. Whoa. How can people find you? Because we need help. We need help. I'm telling you, relationships are falling apart left and right. I mean, people need to hear. Oh boy, I definitely have to have you back on. When I have you back on my show, I'm gonna have couples. Because
sure.
I'm telling you, this is so important, and love is love. People just need advice. They don't, you're listening to this person, you listen to that person, but listen to what's in your heart. And then if that doesn't work, take that extra step and get help. Get help from somebody who's been there, done that. That's important.
Yes.
Wow. This is awesome.
I think it's the best thing in the world to get help, Preezy. We all need help sometime, and I think it's really, really important to go sooner than later, and just encourage my people and your people just to get help. It's the bravest thing in the world. It's the hardest thing in the world to say, I need help. It's to raise your hand and say, I need help. It's to make that call. It's to find that book. But it's so invaluable and so important. So we've been talking today a lot about communication, and I have a free resource that I would like to share with your people.
Yes, please.
It's called the 7-day challenge to help you get ready for your next pivotal conversation, because that's a big part of pivotal conversations, is the getting your heart ready. And so each day we send out a short video with a simple action step for you to take so you can prepare step by step for your next pivotal conversation. So you can go from not knowing what to say or how to approach a pivotal conversation to knowing exactly what it is that you want to say to get ready for that next pivotal conversation. So your people can go to 4better forever. That's the numerical number 4better, the numerical number forever.com/challenge. And they can pick up that free resource there. And that really is the best way to stay in touch with me, because when you sign up for that 7-day challenge, you can also sign up for our weekly email. It's called Tuesday Brew with Ann, because I love my coffee, Preezy.
Me too.
So, yeah, and each week I share weekly communication tips to help you communicate in a way that aligns with your values. And so it's been my pleasure to be here with you today, Preezy.
Oh, this is
Thank you
awesome.
for having me on the Listen Up, Listen In podcast.
Yes, I'm so happy that you joined me on this podcast. I would love to have you again. This is awesome. And can you just repeat your information again, please? I just want to make sure everybody hears this info.
Sure. For that 7-day challenge, you can go to forbetterforever.com/challenge. And that, of course, both times is the numerical number forbetterforever.com/challenge.
Cool. Now, if they wanted to...
I can send that to you, Preezy.
Yes, please. I will definitely put it on my info on the bio that I'm going to put on the podcast, the episode. But if they wanted to actually speak to you and getting help, how can they reach out to you?
Absolutely. My email is Ann without an E at forbetterforever.com. And I'm on Facebook. You can find me, Ann Visser, on Facebook as well. And I have a business page, For Better Forever business page, and they're welcome to connect with me. Either way, love to hear from you. We also run a course called How to Avoid Falling for a Jerk, which has been written by Dr. John Van Epp, and we're starting that in November.
Awesome. This is great. Thank you so much, Ann. I appreciate you being on Listen Up, Listen In. She gave y'all all the information. Please don't give up on your marriage or relationships. Listen to this show. I don't care if you have to listen to it over and over again. And make sure you get the therapy that you need to keep your marriage going. And thank you so much for joining me today. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to Listen Up, Listen In podcast. Shout out to the 3 producers, J. Jake Cicero, Just AC and Ty Beats. And a special shout out to Ann Visser. And it was a great episode. I love this. It taught me a lot. And I hope it taught you a lot. And please, if you feel that your relationship or marriage is getting ready to go down that roller coaster, go get you some therapy. It's so important. It helps. Therapy helps with everything. I truly stand by it. Okay? And always remember, live, laugh, love. Love you first. You have to love you first. Because you can't love anything or anyone if you don't love you first. Yes, indeed. Stay healthy, stay focused, keep God in your life, and hug your family just a little bit tighter. Love you, mommy and daddy, forever. Peace.
That concludes this episode of Listen Up, Listen In with your host, Preezy. Hey, yo, Preezy, tell them how to keep in touch, baby.
Go to Instagram, Listen Up, Listen In 5687, and on Facebook, Listen Up, Listen In. You can also email me at listenuplistenin5687@gmail.com. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, by following me on social media, you'll be able to see all the platforms my podcast is on. Wherever you consume my podcast, hit the subscribe button so you can be notified when a new episode is posted. Rate, review, and share this podcast.
Listen up, listen in. Listen up, listen in.